When I joined the medical school admissions committee at the Mayo Clinic, I expected a clean numbers game. The applications with the better scores would be the ones who got the interviews and the ones who got accepted. But this actually wasn't the case. And in this video, I'm going to show you how this process actually works and what admissions committees are really looking for in applicants. If you're applying now or plan to in the future, this could change everything. For those who are new, what's up? My name is J.R. Smith. I'm an orthopedic surgery resident at the Mayo Clinic, and I've reviewed literally dozens of medical school applications and sat on weekly admissions committee meetings for over 2 years, which has really given me a blueprint for success for people who want to get into medical school. And at the end of the day, programs want proof of two things. One, that you can do well in a hard academic environment, and two, that one day your career will make them proud. It's literally as simple as that. Your grades in MCAT help with the first part, but your story, your goals, your character, and what other people write about you help with that second part. Your job is to make both parts very clear so that there's no doubt. First, I want to explain how people in the room actually think when they choose applicants to interview and accept. Each choice is basically about lowering risk and raising upside. Risk is a student who may fail classes, get low step scores, or struggle to work well with others. Upside is a student who learns fast, is passionate about service, leads well, and fits the mission of the school. No one has zero risk, but the goal is to show that your upside far outweighs your risk. Now, that way of thinking shows up in how they read your application. The goal is for them to see you as a real person, not just a pile of lines and numbers. A clear story helps them actually get to know and remember you. An application with no clear story creates questions, and questions feel risky when there are so many strong applicants. I like to think of the application like a book about a student wanting to become a doctor, and you're that student. You're the main character, and your job is to make the reader fall in love with the main character. This is why your story has to be strong but simple. Right now, you should be able to write 1 to 2 sentences that say who you are, what you care about, and where you're going. These sentences should be your guide for every part of your application. Your personal statement, your activities, your secondaries, and even your letters of rec should all point back to it. Here's what that might look like. I am a first-generation medical school applicant who was inspired by my own doctor to have a lasting impact on future patients of my own. I'm also passionate about mentorship and education, which prompted me to create a YouTube channel where I teach the things that I learned. This is essentially my story. This would be my 1 to 2 sentences. It's clear and anyone can retell this in a few seconds. And it gives direction for my application to tell more about that story with my personal doctor or my passion for mentorship and education. When your story is clear and simple, it will always beat applicants with just high stats or tons of extracurriculars that seem random. I've seen tons of students with average numbers win over students with the perfect GPAs and MCAT scores. They won because their story was clear, their work showed growth, and their overall application described a specific main character that the admissions committee members fell in love with. There are essentially 3 things that make for a strong story: purpose, clarity, and momentum towards greatness. I have to say that again so that it really sticks. Purpose, clarity, and momentum towards greatness. Purpose is just showing that your passion for a career in medicine comes from within. It's within you. It's not something that you're doing for money, status, or because your parents told you that you need to do this. It's because you truly feel like this is your calling. It's so easy to tell the students who have purpose from those who don't. Clarity just means that it's easy to understand the main character. Who is this main character in the book that you're writing? We understand their motives, their interests, and their particular skill sets. It's not someone who approaches the application like a bunch of checkboxes to fill. Everything they've done is a reflection of who they are, not what they think will look good. So each experience and extracurricular clearly points to that 1 to 2 sentence elevator pitch. And momentum towards greatness is just ambition. This is someone who wants to accomplish something incredibly meaningful, whether that is providing excellent care to a community that needs it, spearheading breakthroughs in medical research, or becoming a leader in a medical association that you're passionate about. Clear and powerful story is the most important part of the application, but unfortunately it's not enough if they're still concerned that you may not be able to handle the work that will be required from you in medical school and beyond. Quick pause for a resource that I love and need to tell you guys about. So one of the best things that you can do throughout the medical school application is show a genuine interest in lifelong learning and actually finding topics that you're interested in and learning about them on your own time. The best resource to do this, in my opinion, is Brilliant. Brilliant is a learning app that actually helps you become a better thinker and problem solver, 2 skills that you definitely need in medical school and as a doctor. And they have thousands of visual and interactive lessons in math, science, programming, data analysis, and my current favorite, AI. Each lesson helps you build an understanding from the ground up, and you can learn from your computer or your phone with their beautifully designed app, making it super easy to develop a real daily learning habit. I know if I was interviewing an applicant and they talked about how they were spending this application season and their free time working through Brilliant's data courses so that they can become an effective researcher in medical school, or the AI courses so that they can better understand how AI is going to impact medicine, I would be blown away. So be that student. And the best thing is that you can actually start learning on Brilliant for free. All you have to do is just click the link in the description. And if you want unlimited daily access to everything on Brilliant, they're giving you guys 20% off the annual premium subscription. So make sure to check them out now. Not only because it makes you look good to the admissions committee to take your learning into your own hands, but because Brilliant can actually make you brilliant, which helps when you're on the path to becoming a doctor. Okay, let's get back to it. Med school is tough. It is as hard as you think it's going to be. Committees need to feel sure that you can keep up with the pace of learning. This is where your college classes, GPA, and MCAT matter. But in my experience, a 515 MCAT isn't different than a 521. Both check the box that the students can prepare well for exams. And I also want you to know that if you had a dip somewhere, you can still definitely make up for it in other parts of your application. For example, if you had a couple C's and not the best GPA, but you crushed the MCAT, that is still a good indicator that you'll be able to handle medical school. And an upward trend shows that you're teachable and gives committees an idea of how you'll be in medical school. Remember, momentum is important. And just for full transparency, I had a couple C's early in college. I had like a 3.4 GPA when I graduated and a 5.11 on the MCAT, which I had to take twice. So overall, relatively average stats, but my academic performance steadily improved over time, and I made sure that my story was one to remember. Now, if you want to ensure that you never have to worry about this and you want a complete system for becoming a top learner, you would love my Evolving Student Challenge. You'll get a new video every day for 30 days where we cover the habits that the top students use to stay focused, learn faster, and do better on tests. And we make it super simple to use in real life. It's everything I learned that took me from those average stats to graduating medical school with some of the highest scores in my class. You'll also get my Notion workspace as a template that is literally my second brain. It's responsible for almost all of the success that I've experienced as a student. If you're interested, check out the link in the description below. So now that we know the general goals of the application, I want to share with you a few tangible things that you can use to really wow the admissions committee. First, choose work that aligns with your 1 to 2 sentence elevator pitch. If you care about primary care, do things like clinical volunteering, health education, and community projects. If you love research, show steady time in a lab and a clear question that you're chasing. Fewer things with more depth will always beat random things every time. Next, remember that the goal of your primary application is to highlight a sincere passion for medicine and show committee members that you have all of the necessary characteristics that make for a great medical student and physician. It's that purpose piece that we talked about earlier. So describe stories that show service, grit, curiosity, and a genuine care for people. Keep the same voice from start to finish, and most importantly, again, make sure every line supports your 1 to 2 sentence elevator pitch. And when you're writing, it is always better to show rather than tell. This means instead of saying, I am hardworking and compassionate, please do not say something like that. It's much more effective to tell a story about you being hardworking or compassionate. Like, tell a story about you working a job while in school or spending your weekends doing a community service project. Show the characteristics that you have through storytelling, because if you just say it, trust me, we won't believe it. Now for your activity section, the admissions committee does not want to see you just listing extracurriculars that you participated in. For the most part, they could care less about the specifics of the activity. Instead, they want to see the result of those experiences. Basically, how they shaped your growth. You'd be surprised at how many students fall short in this section of the application. I have a general framework so that you can stay on the right track. The first quarter or so of the description should be spent on describing what it was and what your role was. And then the remaining 3 quarters, so the vast majority, should be spent describing what you learned, how you changed, or the growth that resulted from that particular experience. Next, the purpose of your secondary essays is to show why you in particular fit with that school. The admissions committee is basically seeing if your values and mission match that of the school's. So read the school's website to really get a good understanding of their values. And if you truly want to stand out in this case, contact a medical student at the program through social media or however else, and just ask for their interpretation of the school's values and what they like most about it. Everyone will look at the website, but not many people will actually reach out to students directly. And the current medical students will be a much better resource than the website. And then in each of your answers, make sure that they highlight how your values match the school's. And remember, show, do not tell. Now, one thing that is definitely underappreciated is getting good letters of recommendation. Great letters come from people who know you well, can tell short stories, compare you to your peers, and make strong but honest claims about your future. So find the people who know you the most, who have seen you excel, and most importantly, who you have a strong relationship with. And once you choose them, the way that you ask actually matters. First of all, make sure to ask early. And when you do, share your 1 to 2 sentences, your resume, your personal statement draft, and a 1-page summary with 2 to 3 moments that show who you are and support the story that you're trying to tell. This will not only make it a ton easier for your letter writers to actually write your letter of recommendation, but now they will be able to write something that enhances the story that you're already telling. Again, we're looking for clarity. So now the admissions committee sees you not only describing yourself in a certain way, but also other people in your life describing you in the same exact way. That will give the admissions committee a full, clear confidence in who you are as an applicant. Now, once all of this earns you an interview, the game shifts a little bit. The interview checks how it feels to actually work with you. It tests your people skills, your judgment, and your self-awareness. It also checks if your story on paper matches the person in the chair. Most interviewers remember the feel of the talk much more than the specific answers. And you may be surprised that the person interviewing you probably hasn't read your entire application. Some interviewers don't see your scores or all of your extracurriculars. And many schools use set questions that they can standardize between applicants. These are the classic behavioral style questions. Things like, tell me about a time that you had to overcome a challenge, or tell me about a time that you were on a successful team. From the admissions committee's perspective, the goal is to assess how you handled certain experiences in the past and use that as a marker of how you would handle similar things in the future. After the day ends, interviewers rate you and will eventually present you to the full group during the admissions committee meeting. Most schools will have multiple interviews, so it is important that you take each one seriously, especially the one with the medical student. Because one of the biggest red flags, and I've seen this multiple times, is an applicant who isn't the same between interviews with a faculty member and a medical student. And one thing I highly recommend is sending a thank you letter to everyone you interacted with. Not only is this just respectful, but it shows a true interest in the program, which is one of the things that the committee is considering when thinking about you as an applicant. And finally, there is one last thing that can truly swing outcomes, and that's timing. Many schools review applications as they come in. So the earlier complete applications are reviewed when committee members are fresh and have more open interview invitations that they can send out. Later on in the season, spots get tight and the bar rises a bit because there are fewer invitations left. So if you're early in your journey, plan to apply literally the day that the application opens if you can. But to summarize, your story makes you easy to remember, your academic proof makes you a safe choice, and your interview shows your social skills and how well you'll work with other people. Build all three, and you give the committee a simple reason to say yes. Now, if you like this video, then I know that you would absolutely love this one, where I describe how you can pick your specialty once you get into medical school using all the tips that you learned in this video. Because the earlier you know, the better for getting to the next stage after you get into medical school. Keep evolving, and I'll see you guys in the next one.